We've got a lot of Salt Lake City news this week. Jen Shah is getting out of prison, and there's a lot of news surrounding that. And on top of that, just before I started recording this, I saw that Bronwyn and Todd are filing or have filed already for separation. So pretty crazy. We also have a lot of Summer House news. The trailer dropped. It looks fantastic. And there is a shocking revelation from Amanda about Kyle. And Kyle is already responding to that revelation. And I'm just going to say that his response is not making things better. I'm not sure how else to say it. We've got all that, plus Married to Medicine, Southern Charm, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and much more. Enjoy today's episode. Welcome to the Bravo Papers, a safe space for all us Bravo fans who love to analyze, deconstruct, and talk about our favorite Bravo shows ad nauseum. So join me, Bravo and Botox, and we'll catch up on all the Bravo news and read way too much into our favorite shows and Bravo celebrities. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Bravo Papers, Bravo Weekly News. Here with your host, Emily, also known as Bravo and Botox, here to bring you all the news, gossip, word on the street, internet, chatter, etc. And we've got some big news just in time for the holidays. Jen Shah has been released from prison. Now, we knew this was coming, so it's not like it's a big surprise, but I think, I think the reality of it is hitting people a little bit. There's like videos of her hugging her loved ones and reuniting with people. And, Andy had to like really put his foot down about her not coming back to Salt Lake City, like all that kind of stuff, But to clarify, she's not like walking free. Okay. So she has been moved out of federal prison and into a community confinement program. Okay. So the BOP, which is the Bureau of Prisons, confirms that she's been transferred from FPC Bryan, which is in Texas. So that's the prison, to a program that is overseen by the Phoenix Residential Reentry Management Office. Okay. So it's basically like a halfway house, or, it depends. It depends on the inmate, I guess. It could be like a community treatment center, halfway house, restitution center, mental health facility, alcohol or drug rehabilitation, or any other sort of community correctional facility. So it's not like she's, just like, oh, I'm going home and I'm a free woman and like, let's go get some ice cream or something. I don't know why I chose ice cream, but anyways, it's like a bridge, okay, between prison and full release. Okay. And thank you to at the Bravo Docket for clarifying a lot of this stuff on their Instagram. Like, if you want a lot more details about all of this, her release and what it means and like the length and like just every detail, they've got a few great posts about it. So she's still in federal custody. Okay. And technically her release date is August 30th, 2026. So I guess that maybe this community release is kind of part of like the rest of the sentence, like the community confinement part. That kind of seems like that's what it is. And now other sources are also saying that she is going to be downsizing and moving into a humble Utah home that is a far cry from the $5 million palace once she's like, fully released. So I guess her and Coach Shah are reportedly not going to be living in that same mansion. I mean, to clarify, like, she owes over $6 million in restitution to the victim. So yeah, save your money because you need to pay your restitution back. And I'm sure I would hope that there's going to be, some tight confines on that, and that people are going to be watching and making sure that she's paying that back. And, I do just want to say that, she's released from prison and there's a lot of memes and jokes and all that kind of stuff. There's some people who are calling for her to be back on the show. There's others who are not, like me, for example, because I think the show has gotten progressively better since she's been gone. So, why would we bring her back? And, there's people pressuring Andy, and he once again, responded to it. And he said, she's not coming back. Like, he wishes her the best, but it's over, right? Like, he even said, like, there has to be a line. And I know a lot of people are like, well, you've allowed other shady shit. But, I do think that we need to not forget, as much as some of us may have enjoyed her on the show. I personally didn't. I always thought she was like a toxic. And I know they're all toxic. That's the point of the show. I just didn't find her to be like funny and light and entertaining in that way. But let's remember, and again, at the Bravo docket has a great post about what she did. But let's remember that she was the leader of a nationwide telemarketing fraud scheme that victimized thousands of innocent people. Many of those people were elderly or vulnerable. They suffered significant financial hardship and damage. Okay, victims were defrauded over and over again until they had nothing. Okay, so she and her co-conspirators persisted in their conduct until the victims' bank accounts were empty. Their credit cards were at their limits and there was nothing left to take. Okay, and she was not ignorant of any of it. She took a series of, according to the Bravo docket, increasingly extravagant steps to conceal her criminal conduct from the authorities. She directed others to lie. She put businesses and bank accounts in the names of others. She required payment in cash. She instructed others to delete text messages and electronic documents. She moved some of her operations overseas, and she tried to put computers and other evidence beyond the reach of investigators. That being said, she still got caught. And then she started that whole justice for Jen with merchandise and all that kind of crap. And then, pled guilty at the 11th hour, only after receiving the government's trial exhibits and witness statements, realizing that she wasn't going to be getting away with this, right? So, just in case anybody's like, yeah, iconic, housewife, whatever, like, this woman is a sociopath, in my opinion. She's a criminal. She destroyed people's lives. Okay. One victim who took their own life because of what she did. So, I don't think that she should be back on Salt Lake City or on any show. I know Andy said on his Radio Andy show that he wouldn't be surprised if she ends up on reality TV again, but that basically not on Bravo. And, and I do think it has to do with the fact that, like, if I'm going to be honest, it has to do with the fact that she pled guilty. Like, if she had maintained her innocence, right till the bitter end, and then maybe was like found guilty, but was still like, I'm innocent, guys, like from behind bars or something, there would almost be like, I still don't think Andy would want her back, but I think there would be a slightly better chance. But I think that Andy also takes it as like a personal slight. Like, I think he was pissed. I think he was really pissed that, like, she was doing the whole like free Jen Shah and like maintaining her innocence so hard. And, they kept allowing her to film like under this kind of guise. And I think he feels like, oh, she tried to take us for a ride as well. Like, it wasn't just manipulating, not just, but it wasn't only, manipulating the victims and all that. She was also kind of like lying to us to stay on TV. Like, I think he takes it as like a personal attack and insult, almost like, how dare you? So yeah, like, and I get it. I think that she just fucked up on so many levels. Like, it's just, there's no way anyone is letting her back on Bravo, in my opinion, at least not anytime soon. And listen, I just don't believe that 3 years is enough for somebody like her to change. I know I already went into this all last week, but I'm going to say it again. I just don't think it's enough for somebody to change. Okay. Okay, so the other really big news out of the Salt Lake City world is that apparently Bronwyn and Todd, grumpy old man Todd, as many people call him, or the Todd father, um, are allegedly getting separated. Well, maybe it's not alleged, because Page Six is saying that they can confirm it. So at first there were just rumors about this, because the Salt Lake City reunion was filmed like very recently, like in the last few days. And then there was allegedly like a leak from the reunion. And during the reunion, apparently Bronwyn announced that her and Todd are separating. And then this was leaked. Again, we don't know by who. I'm sure the cast is going to say Lisa Barlow. There's a good chance of that. But But I also don't know if Lisa Barlow would want to give Bronwyn attention. So maybe it wasn't Lisa, but somebody did. Somebody did. Okay. Maybe it was Bronwyn drumming up some ratings and attention for the reunion. Right? Could be. She's, doing her job, trying to get some PR. But apparently, her and her husband, Todd Bradley, are splitting after 9 years of marriage. Page Six can confirm. So, according to Page Six, these are well placed sources. So, okay. It sounds a little self congratulatory, but okay. Tell them that the star 46 has separated from her husband 66. An insider told them that they are headed for divorce. And, their other insider says they're looking at a divorce. Well, yeah, if they're separated, I would think so. Page Six sometimes is, do they just really state the obvious to try and like squeeze a few more paragraphs out of it? So apparently earlier on Thursday, a source told Radar Online, that Newport had announced she was separating from Bradley at the season 6 reunion taping, which took place in New York. And the source says that this shouldn't come as any surprise, though, and that Bronwyn is disgusted by what she's been seeing on TV in regards to Todd. So I'm sure that's a mix of maybe how he treats her and also the cheating and all that. I have a feeling it mostly has to do with the cheating. And listen, I didn't believe from the jump that Bronwyn was ever okay with an open relationship or like quote unquote evolving with Todd or whatever she tried to say. Again, if you want my thoughts about that, you can head over to my Patreon, patreon.com/Bravo and Botox, because I recap Salt Lake City each week over there. And I said from the jump, like, it didn't sound to me like she really wanted that. It sounded like it was kind of like a last ditch effort to save the relationship. It sounded like she was just kind of saying that to like, so that when he gets caught for cheating, it's something that the other women can't use against her. And maybe that'll keep the peace between her and Todd a bit. Right. So I don't know. To me, it was just, I was like, I just don't think that's, I'm not saying that can't be like women and that there aren't women who would be into that. I just don't think Bronwyn is one of them, to be honest. So, the other thing is that the source told Page Six that he's coming off badly and the breakup is truly not shocking. Thank you. I don't think we really need the source to tell us that, but okay. So listen, there's been kind of word on the street and talk, not even word on the street, just like opinions that Bronwyn came on this show to get divorced. And yeah, I mean, I don't completely rule that out. I think there's a good chance of that. I also think that she possibly came on the show to kind of like see how things would go. Maybe sort of like, sometimes I think it could be subconscious. Like you could kind of know things aren't working and then you get this opportunity and it's kind of like, okay, like here's something I can do that's mine. And then now that I have something that's mine and I feel a little bit more like secure in my independence and I have more of an identity on my own, and my own kind of income coming in, maybe like you realize that, yeah, I actually do want a divorce. And what was holding me back before was like lack of financial independence, lack of like, an identity outside of this. Because Bronwyn was like kind of an influencer. And I'm not saying she didn't have an identity because she's married. I'm just saying she was an influencer kind of. And like a lot of her identity seemed to revolve around like wearing like these high fashions and like going to like New York Fashion Week or whatever. And, wearing this stuff that quite frankly, Todd would pay for. Right. So now it's kind of like, okay, if they are divorced, like, can you upkeep that same, lifestyle and all that kind of stuff? Maybe not. I don't know. But, now kind of being a public figure and, having her own salary and then also whatever she's going to get out of the divorce, like it's probably just a more like secure feeling that made her feel more like safe to take that step forward. All right. Do we have more from Salt Lake City? Oh, yeah. So Heather Gay was on Watch What Happens Live, and she was asked a question about why she is so devastated. And apparently this was like the question that was asked again and again. Why is she so devastated about being called a liar when she did lie about the whole black eye thing for all that time? And she says, well, there's a difference between like lying and withholding the truth. And everyone's kind of like, and she, even the way she says it, she kind of knows that's like a bullshit answer. But yeah, so she's running in on a technicality. And here's the thing, the black guy is the example that stands out the most. But I mean, let me go back and do a rewatch and I will find many, many others. And I'm not even like saying that Heather doesn't have a point or that she can't be upset at all for Meredith calling her a liar. They're friends, whatever. They can get upset at each other for calling each other things whenever they want because they do that. But, it's like the level of upsetness is like, it's a little like she's holier than thou, which I think Heather's kind of having that attitude a lot lately. Now, in a different interview with Heather, but different, not from Watch What Happens Live. Where was it? It was, oh yes, it was on Peacock's Reality Hot Seat. Kate Chastain and Heather Gay were both on it, and they agreed that of all the franchises, the Beverly Hills cast is the coldest at BravoCon. And Heather said there is an elitism there that it's hard to break through. Interesting. And if you can't guess, this is how I'm going to transition to Beverly Hills, because this seems to be the topic that's like coming up since BravoCon is like the elitism of Beverly Hills. And Crystal on her podcast, so she has a podcast with Cynthia Bailey, and they were talking about this as well. And Crystal basically said, okay, so I was told at my first BravoCon that, we are Beverly Hills and we keep to ourselves as a group. Oh, okay. That's pretty funny. I wonder who said that. Now, actually, there's a few possibilities. Kyle is definitely one. Even though Kyle likes to act all innocent, and then she's like, no, I'm always so nice to everyone. Oh my God. Yeah, she has that whole thing, but I could see her saying that. I could see Erica Jane saying it, even though Erica Jane tries to like, she goes on the panel with like the shadiest housewives and tries to pretend she's like a woman of the people or whatever. I could see Dorit saying it. I could actually see a lot of them saying it. Well, those three mainly. But yeah, definitely those three mainly. Now, here's the other thing is that this year, Kyle Richards was called out by Stacey Rush from Real Housewives of Potomac, saying that Kyle was the rudest to her at BravoCon. So I'm just saying, like, we can put two and two together here. But yeah, so Crystal confirms that. And then a few people of note liked that post. Well, a couple people. Tamra Judge and Lisa Hochstein from Real Housewives of Miami. So there you go. So now I have Tamra, Lisa, Heather Gay, Kate Chastain, Stacey Rush. So now I have 5 people, all from different franchises, co-signing this. And on top of that, we have Crystal, so a 6th person saying who was actually on Beverly Hills confirming that. So I'm sorry, but like, where there's smoke, there's fire. Okay. That's it. Like, there is a reason that people say this show is like elitist and the cast thinks they're better than people. And I think they have thought they're better than people, because I think for years, for a few years there, they did have the highest ratings. And I'm saying did because this year they're not. And they thought they were kind of like, I think, better than everybody else because of it. And I think also because it's Beverly Hills and it's, already a little bit snobby. And I think because, there's a little bit of like, oh, well, we have like celebrities on our show. And I do think they get the more like random casual viewer because of like recognizable names. Like even like Garcelle, before she was on Beverly Hills, like people knew who Garcelle was and like recognized her from like movies and stuff. And, even like people know like Kathy Hilton, people know Jennifer Tilly. Like, I do think there's, people knew like even like Lisa Rinna. Like I know like Lisa Rinna's not a big star, but like I knew, like I was like, oh, my mom watched Days of Our Lives. Like people, and I'm not saying there's not recognizable people on other franchises, because sometimes there are. That is absolutely true. But Beverly Hills tends to get more like kind of celebrity walkthroughs, I would say, or like, Even, like Denise Richards, I can't believe I forgot to say Denise Richards, right? Like, Denise Richards is as big as they get when it comes to housewives. So, yeah, so I do think there is a certain amount of like, when it comes to that, right? So, and they need to not rely on it though, because the season premiere had a series low ratings. So, maybe it's time to do something interesting and not just rely on having recognizable names because that's not always going to carry you through. It's just not, especially when like you need to have interesting people. And Rachel Zoe cannot carry the show on her own. Sorry. It's just not possible. Okay. So after last night's new episode or Wednesday's new, wait, is it Wednesday or Thursdays? I can't even remember when it's on right now. Okay. I haven't watched it yet this week, but I'm going to. But Dorit was on Watch What Happens Live, and she did say one thing of note to Andy, because we know that on this episode, even though I haven't watched it, I've seen the clip of Kyle talking about her, relationship that she was in after her and Mo separated. And, Andy asked Dorit about that. And he's kind of like, why do you think it was like she was so reluctant to share that? And, Dorit was like, that's all she had to say is like what she said. She could have said it before, basically, like, why keep it in for so long, kind of thing. And then basically that she wasn't surprised that Kyle and, I mean, it's obviously Morgan, but that Kyle and Morgan had broken up, because she says that whoever this is, she says, I think that happens during filming. And Andy's like, oh, you mean like every time they start filming, like Kyle and this person like separate or break up? And then Dorit kind of tries to walk it back. And she's like, no, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't know if they're together or not. Like, as far as I know, they're not. Like so I think she kind of let it slip. Like, it seems like, and to me, I'm kind of like, are you actually broken up? Or do you guys just like take a break during filming so that Kyle doesn't have to share her relationship on the show, and so that Morgan doesn't have to be on the show anymore because clearly maybe she doesn't like it for whatever reason, which is odd to me because I would think it would give her more exposure. And I think it did give her more exposure, but I guess maybe she couldn't handle the type of exposure it gave. I don't know. Anyways, but there is a part of me that just doesn't fully believe Kyle, that this is all about Morgan not wanting to be on the show. There's a big part of me that thinks it's about Kyle, that Kyle is just really, she talks about how she's so in love. Like, there's a part of me that just thinks Kyle doesn't want to share this, but she knows that the audience is going to be like, what the hell? So, but I don't know. Or they've really broken up and she's telling the truth. But I do find it a little hard to believe. Like, I find it hard to believe that this like young aspiring country star, who I know is already like a successful musician to like whatever. And no, she's not like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a really big country star. She's not like at like A level, but she's doing okay, I'm sure. I think that it's hard for me to believe that she doesn't want that exposure. But I don't know, maybe she thinks it would be bad for her career. I have no idea, but there's something up with this. There's just something fishy about this that I'm just not fully buying. Let's just say that. Okay, let's go to some summer house news because we have some pretty big summer house news. So first of all, there's this rumor floating around for the last week or so that Amanda and Kyle are allegedly living separately, and oh my God. And then Amanda goes and does this like TikTok, whatever, Instagram live or something where she's like, guys, I just want to like confirm the rumors and show you my new apartment. And then, and she's like using her camera and showing around her. And then it turns out it's just like a little, like one of her dogs, like little like dog houses or whatever. And it's like, haha. And people are like, oh my God, she's so funny, icon, whatever. I thought this was stupid. I'm sorry. I understand like everyone, oh my God, she's so funny for making a joke of this. Da, da, da. Is she though? Because then the preview comes out like 2 days later and Kyle's sleeping over at a fan's house till 6 a.m. Like, Amanda, I don't know. To me, that just, you're trying to act like you're making this joke about you living in the doghouse or whatever to kind of try and like make fun of us for like believing this rumor or spreading it around or talking about it. Like it's kind of gaslighty. Like we're such, fucking idiots for even being like, oh my God, maybe they're living separately, etc. When we've watched your relationship for like 10 years be nothing but like fighting and negativity and toxicity and cheating, etc. And like, oh, we're so crazy. So, let Amanda clown on us. So then she does it. And then literally the preview comes out like the next day. And in the preview, the relationship is looking terrible. And you have Kyle saying they have no intimacy, no connection, and he's sleeping over at a fan's house till 6 a.m. It's like, girl, I think the joke is on you, not on us. Okay. We are not crazy for waiting for this relationship to end. Nor are we crazy for being fans of a reality show and having watched your relationship literally since inception to now and waiting for it to implode because it's been imploding in front of our eyes on camera. Like, you're the one who's like, sorry, like that just kind of annoyed me. And I don't even dislike Amanda or anything. And I want her to leave Kyle, and he sucks. And they suck together. They really are just not compatible. And Kyle clearly wants to just sleep around and party. And like, this man should not be married. Okay. And the fact that he got married is very troubling and misleading. So yeah, they do need to break up, but like this whole like joke, I don't know. It rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't like it. And then somebody on Reddit wrote, I saw someone comment on a TikTok a few days ago saying their friend works for Loverboy and Kyle sleeping over at a girl's house was the last straw for Amanda and that they ended things. Now that the trailer has come out, I'm starting to believe it. So yeah, so there's a lot of rumors floating around. Again, that's just a random comment, doesn't necessarily mean it's true. Now, the trailer has come out. Obviously, people are like, what the hell? And there was screenshots posted of like a video of Kyle at a fan's house at like 5:30 in the morning, 6:30 in the morning. And it's like the person on the TikTok's like, oh my God, he's still here. Like there's like these captions and they're like, oh, this old 40-year-old whatever guy is still here. Not saying us 40s people are old, okay? I'm in my 40s, but I'm just saying. And then Amanda commented on it and said, if you can believe it, this isn't the fan I was talking about. So again, why make the joke? I don't know. I guess maybe she's just like, to give her some grace and some empathy, she's probably just spiraling and doesn't know what to do. Or she's just trying to drum up drama, for the new season, which also makes sense. So Kyle has put out a statement to clarify what was in the trailer, because the trailer is like blowing up, right? It's a good trailer, okay? Let me just say that right now. A good trailer. Like, somebody needs to show this trailer to Beverly Hills and be like, I know it's completely different type of show, but like, get it together. So here's the headline. Kyle Cook clarifies wife Amanda Batula's claim that he slept at a fan's apartment, says he regrets the situation. So he says, there's no excuse for staying out as late as I did, but I want to be clear that I did not sleep at a fan's apartment. I was at an event that Amanda chose not to attend. Oh, so it's Amanda's fault because she chose not to attend. I see what you did there. Which moved to a bar and then to an after party. Okay, but where was the after party, Kyle? Then he says, I don't use anything to keep myself wired. Well, who said you did? That's the part of this quote that I think is real weird. Who said you? Okay. Is that his way of like throwing shade at like Carl? Like, yeah, I'm not like how Carl used to be, like doing coke to stay up all night. Like, what? Like, what's that comment? Okay. So I think I ended up You think? You think or you know? This is not an I think situation. Okay. I think I ended up falling asleep on a couch and suddenly it was almost 6 a.m. Okay, so you did sleep at a fan's apartment. I just, like, literally the paragraph before, this is his direct quote. I did not sleep at a fan's apartment. Next paragraph. I ended up falling asleep on a couch. So you slept at a fan's apartment. That's what she said. She didn't say he stayed at an apartment, had an orgy, and then called me and told me that I suck and he'd rather sleep with all these girls. Like, he's acting like she added all this sauce to the story. She did not. All she said is, you slept over at a fan's, which you did by your own words that you just said. You did. Okay? Like, this man, can you imagine being married to this man? Okay. And he says, do I regret the situation? Absolutely. Okay, so you did do something wrong because now you're saying you regret it as well, just to add that onto the pile of evidence. But that's the truth and the full extent of what happened. So I guess that's his way of saying, like, we didn't have sex, right? Like, I slept over. But again, Amanda didn't say that you did. And also, no one said that you were up doing ecstasy or coke or anything else all night. And you're also implying that. So you just sound like this is the worst PR quote statement. Like, does he not have a publicist? Like, is he just like caution to the wind? Like, let me just do this on my own because it's not going well. Like, this is bad. This is really bad. Okay. It's so stupid. So all that being said, I'm really looking forward to the this season of Summer House. Because it wasn't just that. The whole trailer looked good. Oh my God. It looked fantastic. Like, I just love it. I'm here for it. And I know they're like transitioning to the new show, but I think that's why I'm not that worried. Like, even though it was kind of like a trailer where they were sort of like summing things up, I'm not worried because I know there's a spinoff coming. So I feel like I'm going to get like the best of both worlds. So I'm kind of good with that. And, the spinoff of The Valley has been very enjoyable. So yeah, so that gives me hope for the future. Okay, let's go to some Southern Charm news because some Southern Charm people with the new season have been appearing on Watch What Happens Live. Let's start with Austin and Sally. Did I say Sally? I meant to say Madison. Sorry, Austin and Madison were on Watch What Happens Live first. So this was last week. And basically, Austin was asked about the whole like Craig thing. Not Craig thing, the Shep thing. Shep talking about Craig, I should say. So this is when Shep was like caught on camera at BravoCon, like talking shit about Craig and Paige and all that. And Andy asks him what he thinks, and Austin says basically Shep needs to let it go. He doesn't really comment on his opinion of it, which is because I think, if I'm being honest, I think he agrees with Shep. But he says he doesn't know why Shep can't let it go. And he says that the only thing he can think of is that Shep doesn't feel like Paige and Craig went through what he went through with Taylor on TV. Okay, so I guess Shep feels like him and Taylor, with their breakup, it was like so messy. And there was cheating, and Taylor outed his cheating. And I guess he feels like maybe that was happening with Craig and Paige, and it wasn't outed, and they didn't share all the nitty gritty details, etc. But I guess you could make an argument for him. But I would say, though, that Paige and Craig's breakup had a lot more. Well, and maybe this is also part of why Shep's jealous. I was going to say had a lot more media attention, and they went through a lot more heat just in terms of like people fighting online, because like they had like two fandoms. Like, at least with Shep, he just had like, and I know there's people who watch Summer House and Southern Charm, of course, but I just mean like then all the people who only watch one or the other, they had that as well. So I don't know. I just think that they definitely took more heat. Maybe they didn't, like, we didn't actually see the breakup. So I guess that's kind of what he's on about. But at the end of the day, and I don't say this often, I think Austin's right. He needs to let it go. Andy also asked Austin who he hit it off with at BravoCon, and he says he hit it off with Kiki from Real Housewives of Miami. Okay. He said he got her number, but, they did text, but it didn't really go anywhere, which, thank God, stay away from her, please, right now. Another thing Austin says is that prior to the season, Charlie was actually into Shep, because it's kind of like people are sort of like, really? Was she? He says Shep got her number and she agreed to a date. And then Madison's like, yeah, but why would you choose him when you have Craig? And then Andy's like, ooh. And then Austin's like, Shep has game. He does. And Madison's like, well, you should by age 55 or whatever he is. And Andy's like, oh my God. Which she kind of has a point. Sorry. I mean, listen, I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. I don't think Shep's going to be able to pull the same women that he's been able to in the past. I think he's getting into that creepy old guy sort of arena. So, and if he wants to have any shot with anyone, he's going to need to start. And I'm not saying like all like young women are gold diggers or anything like that. I'm just saying maybe, if he wants to try and get one of the ones who are, maybe time to start spending some money. And we all know he's really cheap. So I don't think that's going to happen. But, anyways, okay. Austin also says he's been asked a lot about Craig's quote unquote alcoholism. He doesn't say that. I'm saying that, by the way. And how he's like drinking now, basically. And he's like, I know it looks like I'm like obsessed with what's going on with Craig, but he's like, I just find it head scratching. And again, I guess pigs are flying. I need to look out the window because I do agree with Austin on this because I also find it head scratching. Like you see these flashbacks of Craig being like, I'm trying not to turn into an alcoholic and like talking about it being an addict and all this stuff. But then he's like, now he's like getting drunk. And like, so it's like, I just don't know what's going on. I don't know. And fine, I guess that's his journey, but it is confusing to say the least. Like, I think everybody can agree on that. So in other Southern Charm news, Shep and Molly were on Watch What Happens Live recently. And Andy asked Molly if she thinks that Sally is a girl's girl. And Molly says that basically sometimes Sally can be not a girl's girl. She says, it's one thing to like lust after a guy, even if he's in a relationship, like if you have a crush and no one knows about it, but wishing the downfall of the relationship is another story. So I guess she's saying, I mean, Sally didn't really wish for the downfall in that scene, but she did say like, as soon as it's done, I'm there, which kind of implies like, I'm expecting this to end kind of thing. Like, it doesn't sound like you're like hoping they walk down the aisle, I guess. Now, Shep says in relation to his rant about Craig, he says that he texted Craig to say, I'm sorry. And he also says that, he's sorry for any stress he added to Craig's life. But he says that Craig was actually more mad that none of them had his back during the BravoCon Watch What Happens live panel. So I guess this was the panel where they had some people from Southern Charm and some people from Summer House. And but Craig was not there. Like not everybody on both casts was there, but a lot of them were. It was like younger people and like Southern Hospitality, like those kind of shows. And yeah, I guess there was quite a bit of shade thrown at Craig by the Summer House people particularly. And I guess Craig feels, and again, I'm interpreting, but it seems like Craig feels like Shep and them didn't go hard enough for him, which I guess they didn't really go for him at all. But again, maybe they're kind of like, we're up here on stage with this other cast and we're kind of outnumbered, or like, it's also kind of like you've sort of like Craig did kind of like isolate himself from the group while he was with Paige. So I can kind of understand the cast being like, well, why do we have to like go hard and fight for you now on like a public stage? Like when like, if Paige didn't like us or talk shit about us, you were like happy to jump on that train. So I don't know, maybe that's how they feel. I'm not saying it's right necessarily, but they don't seem to have, I would say that the Southern Charm cast does not seem to have as much camaraderie and loyalty as the Summer House cast does when it comes to like just like having each other's back, which, sucks to be them for that reason. All right, let's get into some Married to Medicine news because that is another show that has come back. And I mean, Bravo is really just onslaughting us with shows. Like there is so much on right now. It's wild. I can barely keep up. And Married to Medicine's back, and I'm really enjoying it so far. We're only 2 episodes in, but I really liked both episodes, actually. And something noteworthy from the first episode, and this is what the news relates to, is that Dr. Jackie, she had a little bit of a moment. And I don't even know, can we call it a moment at this point? Because she kind of, it's becoming a habit, okay? We all remember, okay? None of us forget when she was like, you can relate to this, Buffy. You're infertile. Like, okay, so if you don't watch Married to Medicine and you're wondering what I'm talking about, there was this event and Jackie basically called out this person like on a microphone in front of a large group of people to tell everyone she was infertile. And you'd think she would have learned from that, but I guess not, because on the premiere of Married to Medicine, Jackie made a comment to one of the newer cast members, Brandy, and basically was like, "Is your thyroid enlarged?" Which is a very random thing to, well, not random, but just not appropriate thing to say to someone who you're standing talking to at a party. And I guess Brandy went on and did kind of like a video on social media and said that she was offended by it, for Dr. Jackie kind of calling it out in that way and the way that she did it, et cetera. And then she was like, let me spread some awareness for the thyroid condition I have and all that. And then Dr. Jackie has now responded on social media and she says, so first she tags Brandy and then she says, let me start with apologizing for mentioning your thyroid publicly. I definitely had a menopausal moment and let my mouth speak before my brain could catch. Okay, so what was your excuse with Buffy when you told everyone she was infertile like 7 years ago or whatever that was? Like, I don't know. Listen, Dr. Jackie's had quite a few questionable moments for me. Like, I was never a fan of her fat shaming, which she's been doing since like season one. And then calling that out and now calling out this. And then, there was also like there was a lot of like her ex-patients like calling her out on TikTok like last year, the year before. I can't remember exactly if it was last year or the year before, for like just, kind of negligent care or like kind of, like accusing them of like over exaggerating or like being dramatic about their symptoms, like not taking their symptoms seriously. So, she's had a lot of questionable things when it comes to kind of her attitude about things. And like when it comes to medical stuff and she does come off a little like judgmental and a little like holier than thou sometimes. And listen, I think doctors to a point, they have the right to have a little bit of holier than thou. Okay? If you go to med school and you do all that stuff and you're a doctor and, you can do this job that not many people can do, that's really difficult and that a lot of people get rejected from med school and all that kind of stuff. If you make it, you do have the right to have a little bit of an ego. Okay, but it can't, a little bit is okay. Okay, just a little, but it can't be to the point where it's like impacting your professionalism. And it seems like that's sometimes what is happening with Jackie. So she also says, okay, what does she say? Let my mouth speak before my brain could catch. Certainly wish I could use estrogen in capitals. I should have addressed this one on one, if at all. I don't know why. Why is she saying that the estrogen? Okay, and we'll come back to that, I guess. I should have addressed this one on one, if at all. Trust me, this comment came from clinical concern, not shade. As a physician who has helped diagnose thyroid cancer on multiple women just by noticing enlarged thyroid, I reacted quickly instead of thoughtfully. I'm glad you're turning it into education for our audience. I do believe in apologizing quickly, as I did at the time, but it was not shown. I take full responsibility. Awareness only helps people, including me. Wishing you clarity, good health, and peace as we move forward through this season. Certainly will call you to apologize again. By the way, y'all, I'm truly 62 and not 67. Been trying to get it fixed on the internet for years because I guess there's some controversy about her age, which I didn't even realize. Okay, she looks great for 62 or 67, but either way, she looks great. So here's the thing. That is a good apology overall. I do think she's making excuses a little bit like, oh, menopausal, this, that, whatever. Like, oh, I'm old. So, I had a moment, whatever. Or I was just trying to diagnose you or whatever. And a little bit of that could be true. Like, I do think a little bit of the like doctor instinct of like, I see something on you could be true. But, there's also, but it also could be true that you're just kind of like, you need to sort of like pull that back. like those reactions and like kind of understand that there is a line. And if you want to say something like that, you have to kind of take the person aside, do it in private, like these kind of like public, because there was like a crowd of people around, there was not like a huge crowd, but there was like a group of people around. So it's kind of like, maybe this isn't the best moment to say it. And, everyone around was like Toya, etc. We're all like, oh my God, are we really doing this? Now, here's the thing. Not a great apology, but not the worst apology. But then Dr. Jackie's on a red carpet doing an interview with the Neighborhood Talk, and she says that Brandy was trying to get her name out there by telling fans she had an issue with her thyroid comment, claims they already hashed it out before the episode aired, and then she says, gotta be relevant somehow. Okay. So I don't know, because now it's like, now you don't really sound like you're sorry. Like now you sound like you're just annoyed that she even brought it up. Like I understand that maybe in the moment you guys had made up or you apologized or whatever, but also you've been on reality TV for over a decade. So you do kind of know how this works, to be fair, which is things come up on camera and the audience, it's our first time watching them. So it's all fresh for us. And for the people on the show, it's kind of like they're reliving it. And, it is kind of their job to like react to what happened in that moment and to like, kind of give their point of view, etc. Now I understand like if you did resolve it, etc. I can understand like Jackie feeling like, okay, well, she's being kind of fake or she's just trying to like have relevancy because like, she was on last season and she wasn't like the most exciting or whatever. Like she didn't make a huge splash or anything, but still, it's like, I think people were like, oh, like when they watched that episode by what Dr. Jackie said. So I think that she's allowed to comment and say like, yeah, I was offended. And here's some information about thyroid cancer and thyroid issues or whatever. Like, I think that's fair. And I think Dr. Jackie's being a little, like, I think she's just, I feel like this is what always happens with Dr. Jackie is that like she gets called out for something. She acts apologetic and like she feels bad, but then she gets annoyed if you keep talking about it or if it doesn't go away like right away. Like that's how it feels. It feels like she just like can't handle being spoken about negatively for like more than a little bit. That's how it feels. Okay. Meanwhile, this is kind of Married to Medicine news, but also kind of Below Deck news because Fraser Olander from Below Deck had a heart attack and he was in the hospital and he's okay, by the way, just to let you all know. But he was in the hospital and People magazine covered this and said that he had a heart attack caused by vaping. And the quote from Fraser is never experienced fear or pain like it. And many of you, if you do watch Below Deck, he's like one of the like chief stews on it. And he's been on it for a while now. And, he's one of those Below Deck cast members who's like had kind of like staying power. Like he's been on a few seasons and he's like, fairly popular and all that. And his quote says, I could have died for the sake of something so ridiculously stupid. So please do yourselves a favor and give vaping up too. Cold turkey. We do not know about these horrific things, but I can tell you one thing. That was not cute, not even for the plot. Is he saying like he's doing it for the show? Okay. Anyways, so a lot of people were commenting on it, but a lot of people were also like, really? Like a heart attack from vaping? Like there were some questions about that. And then Dr. Scott from Married to Medicine commented and said, typically heart attacks at this age are caused by cocaine usage, but we know that vapes are pretty dangerous as well. And yep, his comment got a lot of attention. I'm going to say that because there was a lot of people in the comments being like, you sure it wasn't like excessive drinking and coke use? And there was a lot of people pointing out that there have been scenes with the Below Deck people where it's like clear that they've been using recreational drugs and all this stuff. So, Dr. Scott saying that was kind of like a lot of people were like, ding, 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 there you go. Again, I don't think vaping's good for you. Definitely is not good for you. But there may have been, but again, it's like, Fraser doesn't really make it clear. Like, did a doctor tell you that that's what caused this? Or like, is that just like you don't want to admit to something else? Or who knows? Maybe it did cause it and we don't know a lot about vapes. They are fairly new in terms of like the scope of human history, of course. And maybe it does cause that. I don't know. I haven't heard about it super often, but yeah, I guess maybe we'll find out more. Maybe we'll find out more on the next Below Deck reunion. We'll see. Okay, let's go to some Real Housewives of New Jersey news because Teresa Giudice and Kathy Wakili have reconciled. Listen, I got to really like, I could get so annoyed right now. Like, I could be like, these New Jersey people, like Melissa, Joe, and Teresa, are driving me crazy. They're all pretending they're making up. It's all bullshit. They just want their show back. They're so annoying. Like, I could go down that road, but I'm not. Instead, I'm proud of them. That's what I've decided. Okay. I'm proud of all three of them. They lost their show and they're putting the work in. Okay. They learned that this is what we need to do. We're going to hang out. We're going to post videos and pictures of us at dinners together. We're texting every day. We're telling the fans we don't want teams, we don't want sides. Now we're making up with the Wakilis. Like, they are really going for it to get their show back on the air. And you know what? I appreciate Bravo celebrities that are working and that are willing to really put the work in. Now, granted, I'm sure they are driven by no money because I think all of them desperately need it. But listen, whatever gets it going. Because I think that New Jersey, I think it was an unfair cancellation. Like, was I sick of the Melissa Teresa conflict? Yes. I don't want that. I'm not looking for that anymore. But I didn't think that the whole series needed to be scrapped. Like, I actually thought the last season was pretty good. Maybe unpopular opinion. Like, I didn't think it was that it was bad. I think they needed to like recast the show quite a bit. And I do think a break was fair, but this has been really long. But yeah, I guess maybe like, I do think that they are realizing that this is the only way back. And you know what? I'm glad that they're all able to suck their pride up and do this, reconnect, and maybe we are even going to get New Jersey back, and maybe with a Wakili, you know, I don't think she's going to be like a housewife, but I could see her like, popping in, having some guest scenes or something. Like, I'm here for it, okay? I'm here for it. I'm here to see it, to see them all pretend they like each other with some other cast members in tow, and then maybe watch it all implode again in a few years. Like, I'm good for that. I don't know. Okay, what else do we have? Let's end on some general Bravo news because it seems like BravoCon is officially a success and coming back because apparently BravoCon reaches 3 million viewers on Peacock, up more than 400% from the last convention. Wow, okay. And listen, there's a lot of people out there like, oh, Bravo's over, or like Housewives is over. Like, there's a lot of people that seem to be wishing for its demise for whatever reason, or a lot of people that just feel like, oh, like these shows, the best is behind us, etc. Which that might be true. The best in terms of like authenticity and all that is probably behind us. But we're getting new good stuff in different ways. And I think Bravo, you still have these shows like Miami, Salt Lake City, Potomac, who's having a unbelievable season. Like, these shows are still bringing it. I'm sorry. They just are. Like, The Valley is only on season 2 and it's already like amazing. So these shows have so much potential still, and the fandom is not going anywhere and seems to be growing, if anything. So listen, I want these shows to go forever because I love watching them, and I don't know what I would do with my time. I'm sure I'd find something else, but the quality of reality TV that I think you get from Bravo is good. And no, they don't pay me, guys. Honestly, if they did, I would be recording a lot more episodes. Okay, I'd be quitting my other job and recording more episodes for you guys. Okay, so content from BravoCon it has increased more than 400% since the 2023 BravoCon, which is pretty crazy if you think about it, because I mean, I guess that last one was like the one right before Scandival. So I do think like Scandival kind of, was that after Scandival or before? Hang on. Okay, it was before because Scandival was March of 2023. And then, yeah, so the affair itself began in summer of 2022, March of 20. Yeah. And then they had the BravoCon was in like the November of 2023. So that is pretty wild. So it like we can't even just say like, oh, well, the last one was lower ratings because Scandival hadn't happened yet. No, it had happened. So BravoCon content also performed strongly on social media. I think this is a thing a lot of people don't know is that, it brought in 385 million engagements, which is a combination of views, likes, comments, and shares up 54% from 2023. TikTok alone accounted for 224 million of those engagements, almost twice as many as it did in 2023. So I think that's something people don't realize actually about these shows as well, is there's a lot of talk about ratings. But one thing that I read about, I wish I had the article still, but is that that the measuring of social media engagement when it comes to these shows is almost just as important as the ratings itself. So for example, like even if a show maybe doesn't have like the highest live ratings, again, like it can be indicative of something, but it also cannot be. So if they have, they have good streaming ratings and there's also like a ton of like internet chatter and like likes and shares and all that kind of stuff, like that is just as important. So like the kind of internet activity around the shows is also something that they really do pay attention to. Not necessarily in terms of like the casting choices and like whatever they're going to do. I know people wish that they did, but just in terms of like, are people talking about it, period? Right? Because they make money now off social media. They don't just make money off of the shows and the actual like ratings and whatever, advertising on the TV. They make advertising money on the internet as well. So yeah, it's a big thing for sure. So looks like a bright future ahead for Bravo, unless Bethany somehow takes it all down in a burning, ball of flame, which I don't think is going to happen. Or maybe Brandy Glanville, or wait, who else is trying to take them down? Leah McSween from, is it McSweeney? McSweeney from, what's it called? Former New York housewife, or who else wants to take it down? Oh, what's her name? Britt from Real Housewives of Atlanta. Okay. Unless one of them brings it down, I don't think it's going anywhere. All right. So I think that's all for today. Thank you everyone for joining me for another episode of the Bravo Papers. We'll see you next week for kind of our last episode before the holidays. And then I'll kind of let you guys in on what the holiday schedule is going to look like. And we'll go from there. And for more bonus content, head to patreon.com/Bravo and Botox. All right. You are now in the know for everything Bravo. See you next time. Bye. Thanks for listening, everyone. Your support really means everything to me, and this show wouldn't be possible without you, the listeners. So please, if you enjoy the podcast, leave a 5-star rating and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. For more, you can join my Patreon, patreon.com/Bravo and Botox. And for $5 a month, you'll get 4 extra podcast episodes a month. You'll also get early releases of Bravo Paper episodes and more. Please also subscribe to my YouTube channel at The Bravo Papers and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, at Bravo and Botox and at The Bravo Papers. If you'd like to buy me a coffee, you can at buymeacoffee.com/Bravo and Botox. Send your love through some much needed caffeine. And any guest that was on today's episode will be in the show notes, all their social media and contact information. So thank you so much, everyone. Keep overanalyzing Bravo.